Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is once again your host, Shailesh, bringing you live from NZ World News and an emotional well-being series we started about a few years ago called Real Connections. Real Connections is all about real people coming onto my show and talking about real experiences, sharing their real journey, sharing their real experiences, and making real wisdom that they have earned all this throughout their life is to be shared. So we started this few years ago, and this topic is absolutely amazing with many speakers coming in and sharing their stories. But they are not stories, they are real legacy of their experiences. So today I have the pleasure to invite one of my friends recently I came into contact with is Monique Spiers, but she calls Monique Fortune, Spiers Fortune, and we'll come back to that very soon. But I want to tell you a little bit about Monique when we talk about her life journey. She is full of every aspect of a journey that a human can experience. And I have the pleasure to invite her today to my show because she's not just a person. She has recently been crowned as Miss Glam Universe of 2025 international title holder. She's an actor. She is a market business. Most importantly, why she wants to do what she wants to do today is because she is an advocate for health, wellness, nutritionist, and a specialist, I would say, detox specialist. And she also founded all this transition dedicated to guiding people. She wants to guide people. She wants to make the people their best versions. And that is what attracted me that, hey, this is hell of a person, not just a human, but she's a human who wants to make a difference to the humans. So why not invite her on my show? So welcome, Monique, for this beautiful episode that we are finally doing it on your life journey. Charlotte, so start with you. Tell something about you, whatever you could, and then let's get dive into your life journey. Tell me something about you.
Thank you, Shailesh. Nice to be here. I'm pleased we're finally doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, yes, I am a huge advocate for health and wellness, nutrition, and I am a detox specialist, enabling people to get rid of symptoms and chronic illnesses, and also physical things that like shed weight and look better and feel better and get the energy back. So yeah, that's our main thing is to help people become their ultimate version of themselves, as
Mm,
I did for myself. I
yeah,
was struggling once upon a time
yeah,
where no one could seem to fix me. I went to
mm,
many different doctors and practitioners, saw so many different people that they were their expertise. They had their expertise in what they did, but
yeah,
nothing seemed to get to the root cause of
mm,
unfortunately what I just kept getting sicker. So I had, it just
yeah,
nothing seemed to cure me. So I had to turn to my own self and explore and research and
mm,
trial and error different things to get myself better. So unfortunately, the health system, what everyone tells us what to do, did
mm,
not work for me. And I don't know if your viewers feel the same, that sometimes, they hear
correct.
this and they hear that and they try this and then they try that.
Mm,
They do the typical thing. Maybe they go to the doctor and get antidepressant depressant can't even say that depressant pill. I'm allergic to that word.
right.
I
Mm,
can't and not want to do that
sure.
thing of just getting a pill and
Yeah.
hoping it gets better when
So
it's
basically, what
wrong.
you're saying, and to all my audiences, and to give them that snapshot that you have been going through your health yourself, and that's why you became
Mhm.
one of the advocates for health for everyone, and that's a great kind of vision and insights for you to do that
Mm.
for humanity, for human
Mm.
wellness, and I think I love you for that. So thank you so much, Monique. So let's dive back into your journey before you went into these health issues.
Mm.
What was you, Monique, as a child, when, if I have to ask you, that as an environmental that you grew up into, as a
Mm,
traditional way of living, or as
mm,
your parental guidance, or as your traditional, or as your religion, whatever. Everybody goes through this whole thing. Everybody has got their own kind of set of guidance from their parents, and then the religion supports them or gives in influences them, and then the environment and the society that they live in and the environment that they live in also influences them. But
mm,
you, as a person, I want to ask you, how was your journey started as a child? Let's go back to your childhood and tell us something about that little snapshot and view.
Monique.
Hmm.
Okay, yes, great question. My parents were the traditional family,
Mm.
Kiwi.
Mhm.
Um, we have a mix of everything on. I have a little bit of Māori, but also French, Irish, Scottish, English. But we started off being Catholic. My mother took us to church,
Mhm.
and my father wasn't so much into that. But um, I moved into Christianity following one of my best friends, and then I just said no to it all, and it
Sure.
didn't, because my parents divorced, and I felt it was unfair of what happened to me, and I victimized myself,
Mm.
feeling that that whoever had done wrong to me. And then I realized that situations are given to us to challenge us and to make us grow and push, so that we can
Sure.
evolve and
Hmm.
grow. Otherwise, if we don't have those challenges, how do
Mm.
we learn and grow, and how do we evolve and become a better human being?
Correct.
So this is sort of the journey that I went through. But also my family was, because my father was a very stoic man,
Hmm.
a very silent man. So our household didn't talk. We didn't, as children, we didn't learn how to communicate
Mm.
um, healthily. So we struggled in that sense. And
Mm.
outside of my childhood, when I grew up, I had to learn how to communicate
Mm.
effectively,
Mm.
and my feelings, and to be heard. But also being the third child, I wasn't heard much because the other two were,
Sure, sure.
always
Yeah,
there.
so in terms of your mindsets when you grow with your siblings and with your friends at that time, like did you had your own mind developed, or because as you said,
Mm,
communication, conversation was a bit of a struggle.
mm,
However, you had those challenges, and everybody has those some of the challenges, but then you come out of it. So how did you manage to change your mindsets from time to time, that what
mm,
you were in at that point? Do you have your, like, every child has got a dream. I want to become this, I want to become
mm,
this, I want to do that, do this. However, then you have to take those steps with your own mind, with your own mindset. There is guidance there, there is support there, but then you are the one who is taking the actions, right? So how did you make at that time those decisions, that what you are today when you look back? How do you feel, and how do you see that? What were you as a child? What are you now? Huge difference, huge
mm.
impact. What is it? Tell us.
Yes, I've changed a lot. I think I've always been on a journey searching for more, for answers, to learn, to grow.
Mm.
Um, you know, what was my spiritual side? What did I truly believe in? Because I didn't believe that well, I've come to the realization more so that I don't believe that there's just one God. Everyone has their different
Mhm.
gods, and then there's fighting because who's right and who's wrong. No,
Yeah,
I don't believe that. I believe it's all one. There's
true.
just different names. We
True.
can call it source, or we can call it the one, or an energy.
Mm.
Um, if you want to believe it, or the one from within. It can
Yeah.
start from you. Um, so yeah, I guess there've been different influences as I've gone on throughout my life, but ultimately, I wanted to explore my spiritual side, which when I was in my marriage, I couldn't,
Mm.
because that was more taboo. That they didn't believe in, they didn't even believe in God. So they were
Mm.
very anti-religion, and I felt like I didn't, without searching for what I truly believed,
Mm,
I felt like I was trapped. So I needed that freedom to find out what did I believe? You
mm.
know,
So what's
what is the spiritual side to me that was the
absolutely?
missing
Mm,
part to Monique, because
yeah.
yeah, I feel everyone needs to go on that journey to
Absolutely.
really
But
know.
then, everybody has got this environment and the tradition way of like,
Mm.
getting into relationship or getting marriage or whatever, two parties
Uh,
coming in together.
yes.
How did that happen with you? Tell us, take us that.
Yes, well, I went down the traditional road,
Mm,
my world told me to do one
mm,
thing. The system told me to do one thing, and that was find a man, get
mm,
married, settle down, get a dog, have a kid. So I did. I followed that.
path.
And
Mm,
I feel like it's almost like sheep mentality. Like it's what the system tells us to do, so that's what we do.
so
That's
true.
the norm, the social norm.
Yeah.
And when my daughter came through, I thought, well, is this truly my thoughts? Is this truly, am
Good.
I truly the woman that I want to
Mm,
be and the example for my daughter? Or am I believe I was actually just following my husband, which I
mm.
mean, you, well, that's another thing, isn't it? In a relationship,
Yeah.
what
And
is
this
a
is
healthy relationship?
what you're saying is absolutely right for all the listeners. We do traditionally, we do follow someone, or we do follow traditionally, we had to do this through the system or the system around us.
Mm,
But then searching yourself or asking questions, or what you said just now, I was trying to see whether is it true. Once your daughter came in, is it what I am doing is right or wrong, or what exactly I need, or is it I'm telling someone is telling me that's why I'm doing it? What
yeah,
is that
influences.
influence?
Mm,
And this is so important for all the listeners to understand that we all go through this, and but we
mm,
have to take this step of knowing us, and that's the critical
yeah.
which leads you to the spiritual pathway, or what we call it self-realization, right?
Yes, huge
And
self-realization for me.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
was something. So
And
in
and there was
terms,
another, oh sorry.
yeah, yeah, tell me, go ahead.
There was the next step. So that was kind of the first step to me
Right.
realizing that I
Mm,
don't truly know myself,
mm,
and how can I learn more about myself and realize what I truly want and who truly is Monique. So then when, I started that journey and started seeking that, but then the next step was when my stepdad got cancer and
mm,
was slowly dying. I had that question,
right.
what is the purpose to life?
Purpose. Mm,
That question, that
yeah.
ultimate question, and I
Mm,
was perplexed.
right.
Was I in a life that I loved?
Mm-hmm.
Was this the
Mm,
life that I wanted?
mm,
Was that truly me?
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
was that what everyone's told me to
Mm.
do and be?
But how did you deal with that when others, you are questioning yourself is one side, and then the other side,
Mm.
which always everybody has to, as a challenge, is what others might think if I do this, or what others are thinking. Am I
Mm.
selfish, or what
Mm.
am I? How
Yes.
did you deal with that?
The guilt, shame, blame of
Yeah, that's right. The
judging,
guilt shame.
the judging, the expectation
The
of what
expectations, correct.
your life should be because their life is like that. If you
Mm.
step outside the square of what's
Yep.
norm,
Hmm.
you have to deal with unfortunately judgment and people talking about you, and
Mm.
it's not so. How did I deal with it? I had to be
Bite the
brave.
bullet.
I had to be brave and know
Mm.
in myself, if I
Mm.
don't do this, my
Mm.
life is not worth living. Because
Mm.
I was at a point where I had serious depression, anxiety, I had suicidal thoughts. I did not want to be here. And rang my mum every
Mm.
single day saying, I don't want to be here. And it got me to that point
Mm.
where I was like, I need to change something and I need to do it now. You know,
So before you do that, tell me why did you came, what was the trigger point in that realization that you were having these issues, or you were not understanding yourself what you are doing, but you are keep doing it and you didn't like it. So
Mm,
what was the triggering point of that, the trauma that you were going through? Is it because an event happened in your journey straight
mm,
away that made you feel, or that lead you to the realization that no,
yes.
this is not my purpose? And then you had events like your, what you
Mm,
said, your stepdad, that
mm,
event happened.
yes.
So, but the trigger point was what in your life?
So there was it's actually quite funny because there were a few events that happened.
Okay.
So I went walking with a girlfriend trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
what I should do because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't happy. And along our walk along the beach of
Mm-hmm.
Murawai, I believe bees mean change. And we'll see, there's always change in life. There's always change. We always see a bee here and there. But that particular day, there were dead bees every step I took all along the beach. And I've never seen that ever in my life. I've never
Mm-hmm.
known anyone to see that. So I knew something big was happening, and I knew in my heart that something needed to change. And then my stepdad, he was getting sicker and sicker. That was a major event that made me
Right.
question everything, question my life and purpose. And when
Sure.
yeah. And when he
Mm-hmm.
died, it was like, well, what's the point in life if I'm just following someone else's
Mm-hmm.
version of life and not my own? I could be hit by a car and die, earlier than I think. I
Mm-hmm.
need to take, the bull by its horns and actually do something to live my life, not for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my stepdad who had passed, and I was at his funeral. Gave me a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And while my now ex-husband, he was over tending to my daughter at the car with my parents-in-law at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I was on the other side of the field. So we had a field in between us. And I
Sure.
believe Zach sent me a vision. And instead of one field being between us, all of a sudden there was many fields
Mm-hmm.
between us. And I knew at that moment
Sure.
that that was to happen. We needed to be worlds apart. We weren't meant to be together anymore. And I knew by the events, by the way I was feeling that I was not living my purpose, and there's more to explore here, especially me being going through that journey of being so sick
Yeah.
and then starting a new journey of detoxing and eating natural foods and herbs and things
So
to
what was the cause of the health issue? What was the literally cause of it? Was it this whole inside happening because of the way you are living, or because you self-realize that this is not the life? These two different things, but
Mm,
then they entangle with each other
mm.
because you question yourself. What am I doing? You know?
Yeah, yeah, true. What am I doing?
Mm,
Exactly. Well, it's again, there's a few things here.
mm,
It's what does the system and the house system tell
mm,
us to eat? How does it tell us to eat? How does
mm,
it tell us our lifestyle should be? The
mm.
drinking culture,
Yeah.
even adrenaline sort of type exercises and activities.
Hmm.
um, what is us telling us, and how is it telling us to eat? And that's what I changed, is
Right.
exactly what the system's telling me. I kind of did it the opposite, not completely, because everyone knows fruit and vegetables are good for you,
Mm,
5+ a day, but is 5+ really enough? It's
mm,
not.
mm,
And how do we really truly support our body? What are the key elements to supporting it throughout the day so we don't have that sugar drop and need that coffee, We shouldn't need these things if we're
true.
supporting our body properly.
Mm,
But then there's also, as you say, the emotional,
yeah.
mental, and spiritual side.
Mm,
I was not tending to that.
mm,
I was trapped in a marriage that I felt like I couldn't get out of.
mm,
I wasn't able to explore myself in a spiritual sense, so that was making me feel caged.
mm,
And I don't feel I was being heard,
mm,
so my emotions weren't really being tended to and cared
mm,
for. And so I often felt not heard in my relationship, in my world, even from my parents, being the third child, just "Shh, Monique, you be a good girl,
mm,
because I was the third, so I just had to follow everyone and be
mm.
quiet. So again, there's a bit of a pattern,
Pattern. Yeah.
silence and not
Mm,
being valued and heard. And
yeah.
so, you know, a the breaking out of what we're told to eat,
Mm,
so the food and
yeah.
caring for my body physically, but then caring for myself spiritually and being able to actually explore that and really nurture that.
Mm,
And then the emotional and mental, tending to what happened in my childhood, but also my marriage. Once
mm.
once all those three things came together, then
Yep.
I was a completely new person, and look what I've achieved by
I
exploring
know.
that and
That's
healing.
where I will come to that. But I want to see,
Mm,
like, how did you feel when breaking the traditions, breaking the norms, breaking the
mm,
systems, and coming out of your
mm,
comfort zone and coming
mm.
out all the inconvenience, and also not inconvenience for you, but inconvenience for the others who are looking at something at you, you know? It's a bloody double inconvenience, right? Sorry,
It
my
was
language,
very hard.
but
Yeah,
we are
it
having
was.
a great conversation here, Monique. So tell me about that, how to
Okay.
please, like people pleasing, they talk about you
Mm.
please yourself.
Yes, I was a huge people pleaser, especially in my marriage
Mm,
too. But everyone around me, I just wanted them to be happy and to be
mm,
happy with me in particular. So I would
yeah.
please until I realized that was not serving me anymore. And
Mm,
I needed to take a step the right way. And that was what was good for me.
yeah.
How do I heal myself? So, my husband, I felt very ostracized and alienated from him
Mhm.
because it was so different to how he wanted to eat and be and the lifestyle that he was currently had been living for 14 years.
Right.
Or probably back then it was about 12 years, but
Hmm.
or 13 anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so yes, he felt very like everything had changed too fast and what were you doing, Monique?
Hmm.
And so I felt like I was walking on eggshells there. And then, my in-laws and then family friends, they looked at me sideways like, why are you juicing?
Hmm.
Why are you doing smoothies every morning? This
Hmm.
is very strange. Why don't you just eat normal food?
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm doing something to heal myself and it's actually working compared to all the practitioners, all the doctors, all the specialists, even
Yep.
for chronic fatigue specialists, all of them that I've seen, they could not make me feel better.
Hmm.
Maybe for a minute, maybe for like a couple months, and then I'd go backwards and I'd have to climb back up. But this is long lasting. This is forever. This is
Hmm.
getting to the root cause. So yeah, my friends, I unfortunately I went through a healing phase where I didn't really see anyone for about a year. And that
Hmm.
was really hard because I was really focused and dialed in on healing my physical, my mental, my emotional, and my spiritual. And not many people understood that. And some
Hmm.
people got a little bit upset with me, but it wasn't
Of course.
about them. It
Hmm.
wasn't about pleasing everyone else. It was now about turning attention to me and
Hmm.
what did I need to truly heal and start to, build my own life, build Monique back up.
Yes, and that's probably
Mm,
why for all the listeners who are listening now must be questioning that, okay, when you do something outside the norm, outside the system, outside the traditions, outside people
mm,
pleasing, that's where you get blamed, questioned, all sorts of things happen. And then you say that, no, I'm not interested in whatever you say or whatever you think, but I want to live my life. And this is the self-realization I want to point out here, Monique, when you said, your stepdad passed away, you realize the purpose. So if you, and you said very rightly, you can be gone by next day, next moment, by anything happens, right? But
mm,
that's where the self-realization comes, and you say, I want to live the life just the way I want, rather than just the way others want.
mm.
And
Yes.
and that's the million-dollar point that not many people understand, that hey, you want to live anyway, but how do you want to live is up to you. But do you want to live by following others or by listening to others, or you want to create your own life? And this is for me what I can see, Manik, that you have created a journey of yourself from the doldrums or from the health issues which caused lots of things were the factors at that time, particularly when it comes to relationship, marriage, when because you're living with someone, you're sharing with someone, and when you share with someone and live with someone, it's always going to be a challenge. His mind, his thoughts, his visions, his way, and
Mm,
your thoughts, your vision, and your way. But how do you bring those together? And this is where most of the relationships fail as well, in terms of give me a sense of for all the audiences who are listening that how important is to maintain the relationship as a status quo, as a tradition, or how important is to create a relationship that could work for both.
mm,
Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's if it's a one-way relation, right? That
that's
way.
right. Yes,
Give
you
me
know,
something, give me some insights on that. I think you have learned good enough experience to share that
mm,
now when you look back.
yes. Oh, it's so important to still it's like you want to both be, say your trees, start off a little seedling and you want to grow together, and
Yes.
but you want to still be your own entity. You still want to be, you don't want to come into one tree. You still want to be your own tree and they're their own tree and grow together. At times you might be a little bit entangled, but you don't fully want to be into one tree. You just want to grow separately and together, and at some point, one may grow more than the other, but having that patience, because it's a fine line between okay, they're not growing, uh
Mm,
see you later, but maybe having patience and letting them be aware that
mm,
you're at the stage of growing, and you're here, and maybe they just need to have awareness, and give them some patience, some time to sort of come up to your level, and you know or or they don't, but you can still go to get you can still
mm.
marry together and live, but it's a problem when when you're not blending together, and they're not respecting the way you want to live your
Well,
life.
as you said rightly before, that expectations of others, whether
Mm,
they are in marriage or whether they are in religion or whether they are family or friends,
mm,
expectations of people literally
mm,
puts you down and
mm,
literally ask you to make a decision which
mm,
is going to be hurtful to someone or not
mm,
hurtful but unpleasant, I would say.
mm,
And that's the challenge that we all have.
mm.
But when it came to you, how did you manage that?
It's and it's still something that
Hmm.
I feel I'm working on. I still don't feel,
Right.
that I've got it all down. That's
Hmm.
the thing, is that I'm still learning with that too, because if in a relationship, if you're not willing,
Hmm.
and you don't have that determination to
Hmm.
dive deep into difficult conversations, this is where what I've been talking about lately. If you're not willing to dive deep into different difficult conversations, and
Hmm.
and talk like an adult and conversate about it,
Hmm.
then you're not going to have a successful marriage, because
Hmm.
you won't be able to know that person more, know
Hmm.
what triggers them, and what maybe makes them feel not safe, or and then
Yes.
by having these difficult conversations, you get to know yourself more.
True.
You
True.
dive into yourself.
Hmm.
You might not have the answers in that very particular second that they're asking these deep questions, but
Hmm.
you reflect on that and say, okay, well, how do I truly feel about that? Where do I sit with that? Where are my boundaries with that?
Hmm.
And come back, and you can talk deep again, and work
Yeah.
through that. Um,
So, this is a very hard, like it's a work in progress all your
mm,
life as you had to keep managing different circumstances, different situations.
yeah.
But I want to take back to that situation where you came out of self-realization, you understood your purpose, you had events that could trigger you and make you
Mm,
understand of taking those bold decisions. And then this decision of getting into this beauty pageant or the
mhm,
crown that you win. What was the trigger point? Did you go for proving a point to yourself or proving a point to someone, or was it just like opening up yourself and flying high in your
Mm.
own world? How did this panned out?
It's quite interesting. Because I never actually considered it to be
Hmm.
quite honest with you.
Hmm.
I've won certain things. I've done a lot of modeling and best promotional model and
Hmm.
even when I was super young, I won a Queen of the Ball. It wasn't even my ball, but I made friends with everyone and they seemed to love me.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I know I can win
Hmm.
over everyone, because of the way I am.
Hmm.
But my daughter actually found the picture of me wearing a crown, winning that Queen of the Ball, and put it up. And then I get a message,
Hmm.
quite coincidentally, not really, that's synchronicities from the universe that
Yep.
I've put that in my world, or my daughter
Hmm.
did. And so someone from the pageantry actually asked me, would you consider joining and
Hmm.
being a contestant, competing? So I looked at it and I thought, I don't think I'm, I didn't consider myself that kind of beauty. I love myself and I believe that I am at the point where I am my ultimate self. But I thought it's not really, I don't think I would be able to win at a pageant contest.
Hmm.
And she said, well, look, it's not about physical beauty, this particular
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
It's actually about, do you have a message for the world? And I said, yes, I
Hmm.
have a very passionate, powerful message, and it's about
Hmm.
health
Hmm.
and how do we heal? So, and how can we support our body properly, instead of what the system tells us.
Uh,
And yeah,
hmm.
so she said, okay, well, come, join, come see us. And I did. And then I won Miss Glam World New Zealand for the New Zealand part of the title. And then
Hmm.
that gave me the chance to go internationally and go
Hmm.
to India and compete for
Hmm.
representing New Zealand. And then I won that. So
Beautiful. Hmm.
then I felt like I was flying, I
Yeah.
just reached my ultimate, a goal I never even knew I had, but
Hmm.
it felt like I just conquered the world, and
Correct.
yeah, it just was
That's
incredible.
amazing. That's an amazing step. But this is the step that not many people at that point take it. And when they self-belief or self-sabotage or self-fear,
Mm,
saying that I don't want to be in
mm,
that. I know
mm,
I am beautiful. I love myself, but I don't want when it
mm,
compares with others or when some others are coming in the picture as well. Then you
yeah,
want to be aloof. All those things are very normal as a subconscious mind.
I
But
agree.
then the conscious mind tells you, break all those barriers. Don't think about all those things. If you want to do, go up on the stage and stand up. If you
Yeah.
don't want to go, sit on the chair and watch the stage. That's all
Mm,
two things you can do, right?
mhm,
And for you, like even though you're saying that, okay, I'm not beauty, and then the message came that it's not about your physical beauty, it's not about your
mm,
face beauty, it's about what is the message. And this is a very
mm,
strong and powerful to all the listeners who are listening from you coming as a golden words that it's never always about the beauty. Just because the title is beauty pageant doesn't mean it's
mm,
beauty. Beauty
absolutely.
is expressed in a different form, different way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I appreciate Monique in that regard, and I really hats off to you to take that decision. And then otherwise you would not have seen India. Otherwise you would
Mm.
not have gone to this level, right? To the length. But
Yeah.
because you took the first step, and this is what all the listeners is motivating for them to take that first step is always hard. But when you take it, you
Mm,
know where it can lead you. It can
mm,
lead to multiples. So I
mm.
want to congratulate here once again, Monique, for you to take that decision of your for your own, but also then showing the world that anybody can do it, basically.
Anybody can do it.
Mm.
If you have the willpower, if you have the confidence and
Mm.
the self-love, the self-worth, if you work on that, because I completely agree. I used to, have self-sabotage. I used to have low confidence. I used to think I wasn't good enough.
Mm.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Mm.
I knew I had a lot of heart. I know I care a lot with anyone that comes across into my world, that's always been me.
Mm.
But for me to, be in front of a big crowd and even to speak in front of, cameras
Yeah,
and
correct.
and videographer and just like, a huge um
Crowd.
crowd, yeah, on stage that scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
But I had so much belief in what I want to give to the world of
Mm.
this message,
Mm.
and coming from my heart because I truly struggled and I see so many people struggling with their health that I want to help them,
Mm.
and this gave me, this is my purpose, right?
Mm.
So this gave me the strength, the willpower, and working on that self-sabotage,
Mm.
working on that little voice in your head that says, "Oh, no, 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 like that you can't do that. You'll get judged on stage, they'll think you're being too
Mm.
much. They'll
Mm.
think that you're into yourself too much, that you're into your
Yeah.
body too much." That little voice that of people judging you, you
Mm.
tell that voice to shut up and sit back down
Mm.
because you can be your ultimate self,
Mm.
and you've just got to believe. You've got to work hard at your goals, which may
Mm.
be, go to the gym, look good, eat properly, feel good, and work on your self-belief and your mental and emotional,
Mm.
however that is. You may have tools, you may have activities and events that you do that build that confidence in you.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah,
once you keep to those goals, you can achieve anything. And that's what I'm trying
absolutely.
to help people to understand.
And that's where coming to achievements, I mean, you have achieved what
Mm.
you aimed to, what you wanted to,
Yes.
after all the barriers, after all the
Mhm.
challenges. Now, tell me, what was the trigger point of going into health or becoming a health advocate? Is it for you because of your self kind of experiencing yourself first, that
Mm.
you recognize that this is now going should go out to everyone because you have experienced firsthand with yourself when it came to health, nutrition, eating, as you rightly said, dieting or detox or whatever you do that as a health. It's not for just to sabotage your health or destroy your health, but to construct your health and to realize your health more consciously
Mm.
rather than subconsciously. So, what really now you see that triggered point that, okay, I want to become now, I have experienced it, so I want to now put it out in the world and to everyone. How did that happen, transition?
And sorry if I cry because I get a bit emotional with this part.
I know.
Um, you know, when you can't when you can't live your life because your health is not
Hmm.
it's so bad that you can't
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
the energy to tend to your daughter, when you can't, be
Sure.
be the wife that you want and
Hmm.
make all the meals and clean everything and
Hmm. Hmm.
still keep on top of being the mum that you want to be also, and
Hmm.
hopefully I started a business but I couldn't continue it, so
Hmm.
there's lots of things that had to stop because
Sure.
I was so ill. um and
Yeah.
then, from the fact that I wish I could have helped my stepdad also, because now we have an understanding about cancer and cancer in a different way to what the system's telling us.
Hmm.
So, because I believed I had breast cancer because I had nodules and lumps in my breast and
Hmm.
palpitations. I had some serious stuff that I didn't tell people because I
Got
didn't
it.
want their reaction to affect my path of my healing and the way I was now detoxing to heal.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to come off that path just because
Hmm.
of what the system tells everyone to do when that
Hmm.
happens. So yeah, it was mainly me being so sick for so long,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and not getting my life back
Hmm.
until I did this. So, and then looking back and saying, if I had developed this detox process when my stepdad was alive, he could still
Hmm.
be alive.
Yeah.
So those were the two driving forces, is
Right. Right.
everyone has, a dad or stepdad that they want in their life, that they need in their life. And if I can help
True.
someone that was
Mm,
sick like me, or their stepdad, and still have their
mm.
life come back to them because their health
True.
has improved so drastically, then I would love to do that. And that is my purpose. That's why I'm here on this earth. So that's why I'm
Absolutely.
really
No, this is.
passionate.
No, I can see where you're coming from, because as all the listeners also try to understand that, health is one of the important, because this is what we live. So when we live, that means our health is good. That's why we live. In the
Yeah,
way health is not good, that means we don't live. This is what
exactly.
I exactly understood, Monique, from your this beautiful conversation I'm having with you. So that's why you being advocate for health is very, very important, not just as a advocate, but for every human being on this planet. Is living is not just living without any kind of purpose. So in everybody lives, but
Yeah,
when you live with a purpose, when you live with something that is, that you have achieved, in terms of achievement is not measured in terms of your wealth or accumulation or knowledge or just like that, but creating a life that you would live for, including others around you, and including your children, including your
yeah.
friends, family, everyone. And that's
And
the
this
beautiful,
this
right?
is the other thing, I wanted to be
Mm.
well enough to for my daughter as well. That was
Mm.
probably the hardest part. I
Yes,
couldn't, be the
you
mum I
couldn't.
wanted to be for her.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand, completely understand. And but that is so important for caring for others, or even having a thought for others, even thinking about others. Like you are thinking for the world, to make sure that everyone become a self-good version of their own,
Yeah.
when it comes to health, when it comes to, keeping their health
Mm.
intact. It's so important. Definitely, definitely. It is the only thing that you are thriving on. You eat because you want to live. You eat because you want to make your health better. So it's all about your
Protecting your
existence.
future. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Existence, protecting your future, you
mm.
can help everyone around you if you have the right tools. It's just we don't have the
Great.
right tools.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
amazing to me.
So here is something that we are gonna come to the almost end of the episode, but we will come back, because I think you have got lots and lots to offer. But before we go, I have got a few things more to talk about, Monique, is in terms of your, the journey that you have been through and the journey that you are going through now. When you look back now, where you are sitting and moving from here, have you kind of, what's your view on your own journey, that you want to take a leaf out of it and continue doing that? How do
Mm.
you see that?
Good question. Because there's so much that I've learned,
Yeah,
especially this
exactly.
last 5 years. It's really condensed down to pushing me so much to the point
Mm-hmm.
where I ultimately love and believe in myself and know that whatever I choose, there's opportunities that come to us, and we can attract those opportunities just by our energy. If we we're doing our goals, we're working out, we're eating properly, we're tending to our mental and emotional and spiritual health, then it builds up our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then because that energy is lifted, our opportunities come to us because they're positive, they're energy, you're worthy of these opportunities that you want. So they're coming to you, if your energy is low and you're like down, and the opportunities aren't going to come that are worthy of your ultimate self,
Yep.
so
True.
I think that's where I'm sitting now, is by doing the things that, the key things to becoming your ultimate self, then the opportunities will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have so much self-worth and confidence that you'll take them, because you know and love and truly within yourself that you're worthy of that. You don't have that self-sabotage voice, judging voice of others and pleasing, trying to please. You don't have that
Yeah.
because you're working on yourself.
Mm.
You have the energy high, and you know that you're worthy of that opportunity. You can grab it and you can take it.
So your mission is quite great, bigger mission of helping the every individual on this planet in terms of what humans really thrive on to live is
Mhm.
your health.
Yes.
There is no thriving on to live other than your health. And so it's very important. So all
Yeah.
the listeners who are listening, I think, what's your message to all the listeners being experienced not just on the I want to come to the final point is the spiritual aspect, but we'll come to that later, next one. But at this point, what do you think, what is your message in terms of health to all the listeners who are listening, basically?
Mm. I would say protect your future. You
Mm,
know, you can dwell on the past, but we're not there anymore.
mm,
Um, we want to be in the present, so you need to take action for the
mm.
present to protect your future. You know,
Yes.
you want a good future, a worthy future, meaning you feel good running around after your grandchildren, you feel good running around in your 30s, 40s, doing your
Yeah.
business and still attending your work dinners and things like that. So, and seeing your friends. You want to feel good, and to do that, you need to attend to your health, the physical, the food, the mental and emotional, spiritual side.
Yeah.
Once you get them down, you're winning. You can be your
Sure.
ultimate self. Yeah.
Right, right, right. No, that's beautiful. So coming to the final, I wanted to ask you, in when you said mention about, self-realization, this is so important. This
Mm,
connects to spirituality
mm,
because spirituality is not a bigger word or a bigger complicated word. Spirituality is all about self-realization. So
mm,
when you become self-realized, you actually understand your own spirit. You understand your
mm.
own mind. You understand your own being as a human. And that is spirituality. So
Yeah.
spirituality, don't get confused. All listeners, we can interpret the word spirit and then spirituality and whatever, but it's very simple in my what I have understood, and Monique can tell because she has experienced as well now. That's why I wanted to come to the final end of this conversation is all about how do you view this spiritual self-realization leads to spirituality, connects to your own spirit, connects to your own body and mind and soul. And
Mm,
when you connect to your own mind, body, and soul, then this health realization, then this food realization, which keeps your health intact, that's the must, that's the important aspect. But that you should know innerly, that you should self realize innerly. Otherwise, we are just putting something dumping in our tummy,
mm,
dumping in our body
mm,
just because it's hungry.
mm,
Consciously doing is very
mm,
important. So give that something on that spiritual aspect of it,
mm.
why it is so important.
Yeah, honestly, it's so important. It's almost everything. The awareness that you can have, if you honor yourself, you know you're worthy
Mm,
of the putting good things into your body.
mm,
It's about that. Are you worthy to put that good food into your body? Yes, you are.
mm,
Are you worthy? Are you aware enough that, worthy to work out and get that nice body, that you want, and you feel good and you feel strong?
mhm.
Yes, you are. And are you worthy to work on those mental, emotional, spiritual aspects so that you are in
Right.
a good mindset, you're happy, you're bubbly, you're attracting people, opportunities,
Mm,
you can do anything you want, conquer at life. You
mm,
are worthy. And it's about having that awareness of what you're doing to build, yourself up, you know.
mm.
Because if we're not aware, if we're not self-realizing and conscious of that, then what are you even doing in life? Are you asleep? Are you just following
Correct.
everyone
Yeah.
else? Because is that fair to yourself? You've got to ask these questions. You've got to
Mm,
dive in to
mm,
not to truly know yourself and know where you sit with this.
mm.
Because if you don't know yourself, you won't think you're worthy, and you won't want to do that for yourself because you don't think you're worthy. Your body is not your temple.
Yep.
So you've got to work on that. You've got to work on
Absolutely.
what's happening inner on the outer to get to where you want in life. Mm,
Yes, and I think this is where all the listeners, as you can see, Monique is all talking about the inner and the outer world both, and
mm,
how she has managed the both the worlds. And this is very
mm.
important for everybody
Two
to
aspects.
understand,
Yeah.
right?
Mm,
So, what I could summarize from here, Monique, is like beautiful conversation, beautiful. I think we can go on and on
mm,
because we think alike. We thought our thought process is quite similar, and we are here to create and build everyone's journey. And
mm.
everyone's journey, we are nobody to create and build, but what we can do is all about our sharing experiences so that they can be guided, just
Yeah.
like we take guidance from our parents or friends and family. That's what we who we are as a self-realized humans, to
Mm,
guide and help each other and heal each other.
mm,
So, with that note, I think what I have understood to all the listeners, please understand one of the things that we do through these episodes, through this channel, is to give a self realization, which Monique rightly, promptly said. Self realization is the key for everyone to start building and growing your life,
mm.
start creating your life, but you can only do that
And the life you
if
want. Mm,
if you are only self-realized.
mm,
Otherwise we are just, as Monique says, you are just following, you are just chasing, this is not what we are, or sleeping, or you are not awake, which is rightly said. You are perfectly said that, because we are not awake until we show we exist. And when do we show exist is when we are fit, when we are body, when our health is mind. Fitness means doesn't mean that you are slim or fat or this or that. Slim fitness is all about fitting innerly to
mm,
contribute to the world, to the around the world that you live in. And that's the way we want all and everyone to be fit enough to help and support each other.
yeah.
So, with that note, Monique, I really appreciate your beautiful time given to me. But today, we did the first episode of your life journey, and we have got more and more, because Monique is not just life journey. We started it. She's a full of wisdom, full of wealth. We are going to bring a lot of topics that we can
Mm,
really connect with you all. But here is a final message I want put you back to Monique, and give your final word to all the listeners, and then we will end this episode over here.
mm. Yeah, I think ultimately I want to tell people to take charge of their life, live for them. Because
Hmm.
when you live for you, you can give more to others. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so take charge, look
Hmm.
after yourself, and know you're worthy enough to
Hmm.
nourish your body with good food,
Hmm.
to have those goals of working out, to have those goals of nourishing your emotional, mental, and spiritual,
Hmm.
and become your ultimate self. That's why I
Yeah,
called my business Heal
yeah.
Me, Best Me, because you want to be your best me by healing you.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Very well said. Take charge, beautiful message. Take charge of your own.
mm,
Become a self, more version of your own. Because
mm.
at the moment, realize whether you are a version of your own or you are a version of someone. This
Else,
is what.
that's right. Yeah.
This is what I would end up. And what a beautiful message. Self version become is the key for your success or for your growth or for your existence.
Mm.
Otherwise, we are all asleep. Don't be asleep.
Mm.
Be awake.
No, wake up.
Wake up. That's it. Wake up. Thank you so much for all the listeners listening. And please do write to us if you like our conversations and if you need anything from us in terms of what you want to talk to us. We will make those transition changes for you. With that note, thank you, Monique. Thank you, listeners,
Thank you.
for all your presence over here. We'll see you next time.
Bye for now.